Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Chapter 2, the demographic structure of the Indian society. And we are continuing our topic, size and growth of India's population. Unlike the death rate, the birth rate has also not registered a sharp fall. This is because the birth rate is a socio-cultural phenomena that is relatively slow to change. By and large, increased levels of prosperity exert a strong downward pull on the birth rate. Once infant mortality rates decline and there is an overall increase in levels of education and awareness, family size begins to fall. There are very wide variation in the fertility rates across the states of India, as can be seen. Some states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu have managed to bring down their total fertility rate to 2.1 and 1.8 respectively. This means that the average woman in Tamil Nadu produces only 2.1 children, which is the replacement level required to replace herself and her spouse. Kerala's TFR is actually below the replacement level, which means that the population is going to decline in future. Many other states like Himachal Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Maharashtra have fairly low TFR, but there are some states, notably Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, which still have very high TFR of 4 or more. These few states already accounted for almost 45% of the total population as of 2001, and they will also account for about half of the additions to the Indian population up to the year 2026. Uttar Pradesh alone is expected to account for a little less than 1/4 of this increase. The relative contribution to population growth from different regional groupings of states. Now let us move to the next point, age structure of the Indian population. India has a very young population, that is, the majority of Indians tend to be young, and the average age is also less than that for most other countries. That the share of under 15 age group in the total population has come down from its highest level of 42% in 1971 to 37% in 2001. The share of the 15 to 60 age group has increased slightly from 53% to 59%, while the share of the 60 plus age group is very small, but it has begun to increase over the same time. But the age composition of Indian population is expected to change significantly in the next 2 decades. Most of this change will be at the two ends of the age spectrum. The 0 to 14 age group will reduce its share by about 11% to 23% in 2026, while the 60 plus age group will increase its share by about 5%. A graphical picture of the population pyramid from 1961 to its projected shape in 2016. As with fertility rate, there are wide regional variations in the age structure as well. While a state like Kerala is beginning to acquire an age structure like that of the developed countries, Uttar Pradesh presents a very different picture with high proportions in the younger age groups and relatively low proportions among the aged. India as a whole is somewhere in the middle because it includes states like Uttar Pradesh as well as states that are more like Kerala. The estimated population pyramids for Uttar Pradesh and Kerala in the year 2026. Note the difference in the location of widest part of the pyramid for Kerala and Uttar Pradesh. The bias towards younger age group in the age structure is believed to be an advantage for India. Like the East Asian economies in the past decades, like Ireland today, India is supposed to be benefited from a demographic dividend. This dividend arises from the fact that the current generation of working age population is a relatively large one, and it has only a relatively small preceding generation of old people to support. But there is nothing automatic about this advantage. It needs to be consciously exploited through appropriate policies. Now, the next topic is the declining sex ratio in India, that we will discuss in our next session. Now, let us wind up the session and thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning Podcast.